And we are back. Episode 7. Episode 7, unofficially 8. Right? We're gonna do that forever now.
Are you sure it's not 8, unofficially 9?
No, it's 7.
Because I feel like for some reason the one you put out 2 weeks ago, our first one back, you labeled as 6.
Yeah, so this is episode 7.
But then last week would have been 7.
No.
The post-Mania one you labeled as 6.
I know it's political
sure?
season, but
I'm
this is too early for a recount. Shit.
Yeah, hold on. Hold the phone. God, I can't do anything right.
Pausing the stream.
Based on
You
our
know
math.
what, Flanabam? Here's what I'm going to need from you. I'm going to need a little bit of grace from here on out. Joe, don't make things so literal for me.
You were asking a lot.
I know.
You've known me for a very long time.
You're
asking a lot.
You are a man of...
I'm an asshole.
No, you're not an asshole. I would not...
Just a gimmick.
I wouldn't say that. Now I need to go back and double check. Yeah, I labeled 6 twice, so this is episode 8. Fuck me. Listen, according to YouTube...
6s, 2 doinks running around.
As far as YouTube knows, this is episode 7. So YouTube... You just caught on to a little error here. But welcome back.
We'll edit all this in post.
Yeah. When we celebrate our 100th episode, we'll celebrate 99, 100, and 101.
No,
just to be on the
I'm leaving this in. WWE has new production where they show behind the scenes.
Yeah.
This is what we do.
Same.
You're going to get behind the scenes.
The curtain back,
especially when you have, head editor who doesn't know like what he did yesterday. That's probably part of the problem here. Everything's Pro Wrestling Podcast. Mike D. The Kayfabe cousins, Flanabam and Flanny in the building right here to my right. Your left? Yeah, your left.
Or yours straight on.
Yeah, the cameras are going to edit it anyways. So
it's just right in front of us. It's
regardless,
not any direction
you can see us. That's all that matters. Exactly. You can see us.
Flanabam has set a goal of completely throwing me off, and he has succeeded very well so far.
All right, I'm going to go home now.
Very, very well. No, don't go home. Stay here. We got a lot to talk about.
Mission accomplished. I'm out.
We got a lot to talk about. I guess a lot of people this week, there's been a lot of changes since Mania, right? A lot of champions have changed. A lot of belts have changed hands. Obviously, we saw that at Mania. But now, with the unexpected injury of Rhea Ripley, they had to figure something out with the women's title, right? Because she had to relinquish the title, going to be on the shelf for a few months.
Shame.
And how we decided that was with a women's battle royal. Boys, first of all, what do we think about that being the solution?
I'm cool with it.
Really?
Because it's a good way to not make anybody look weak in a loss.
I guess, but
so that way every woman still looks strong, and now every woman basically in the battle royal looks like they could be the first contender.
Yeah, I think
you didn't weaken anybody.
I think that's the rationale from behind the scenes. I definitely think they went there. I know we talked a little bit about last week. What are they going to do?
Right.
We talked about potentially is it Nia and Liv because they kind of seem next up, or where do they go with it? Yeah, I think that was their. I don't want to say cop out, but I think that was their easy way of saying, "Cool, this is how we're going to frame it. We're also not going to drag this thing out. We want to put the belt on somebody ASAP.
Right.
So we're just going to cut right to the chase and crown a champion tonight, as opposed to maybe over the course of a couple weeks, culminating at the pay-per-view with the winner."
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it seemed very strange because, it's a very cheap way for me to crown a champion because you're putting a ring with, however many women were in there.
It was wasn't it like a raise like 12? It was like just a random number. I remember seeing the graphic, and you can tell by the graphic, I'm like, that was like 12 people.
It was, I think, pretty much minus Rhea, every Raw woman.
Every Raw superstar.
Yeah, but there was a couple that they did mention at the beginning with Michael Cole and Pat McAfee being the ones that they're leading the women's revolution on Monday Night Raw.
That was weird.
Random
why are they
as hell.
in the ring?
Like,
why aren't they doing it from the booth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Cole wanted to show that suit off.
Maybe.
That's what it was.
Maybe.
I think he wanted to show the suit off.
But I don't know. Maybe they're doing things different. Why wouldn't Adam Pearce be the one to introduce it? Right? Wouldn't that make a little bit more sense?
That also would make more sense. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah,
Triple H.
Why are they in the ring?
They've loved to bring out Paul Triple H Levesque to introduce these new titles.
That could be the thing. He may have thought spend enough of me these past couple episodes. I'm going to take a step back.
And kudos to him for thinking that. Like, maybe a little too much of me. Let's get somebody else in there.
Right.
Yeah, but I thought it was when Raw popped on, I turned over to Raw at like 8:01 and I saw them in the ring, and I was very taken aback. Like, why are they in the ring? What happened?
Yeah, it was a weird start. But yeah, the Battle Royal happened. Becky Lynch is your new women's champion. Is that what they're calling it?
Women's world champion.
Women's world champion. And some people are mad about it. There's some people that are upset about Becky having the title again. even though I think it's been 2 years since she's had the title.
Been a bit, yeah.
Flanabam, not a fan.
Not a fan.
Not a fan.
Nothing against Becky Lynch. I think Becky Lynch deserves to be a women's world champion, just not yet. Not right now, I mean.
Right.
Like, I would have I think it should have gone to somebody else.
I think it's...
To me, they're promoting this whole thing and 99% of the time about this whole new era, and it has been, but this feels like a step back. This feels like relying on the old as opposed to trying to do something new.
And I think the thing for me that kind of... Why I didn't think it would necessarily be Becky, to your point, love Becky, have no problem with her being the champ.
Right.
They obviously could have put the belt on her a couple weeks ago at Mania. Obviously, that wasn't the plan because the plan was for Rhea to still have it. But for me, I'm like, well, she didn't win it a couple weeks ago. Now she's kind of not gifted it, obviously, but now she wins it. To your point, it didn't make sense for me. It was like this was the easy thing to do. Yeah. Check the box, give her the belt, and move on. I think she'll be a great champion. We know that, but to your point, I think it was a really good opportunity to what we talked about last week. Maybe Nia, maybe Liv. Get a fresh face with the belt and then just kind of see where things go. I think we all know once Rhea comes back in a few months,
it's going to be
she's going to come right back to the top as she should.
Probably as a babyface.
So I thought that would have been a really cool opportunity to have someone else go over and put them in that spot when ultimately it comes back to it.
And I also don't think Becky's going to hold it very long. I wouldn't be surprised if she drops it in her first title defense, which at that point it's like just put it on whoever she's going to drop it to in the Battle Royal.
Yeah, I thought that initially as well. I think this was like obviously a placeholder, but I think if you put it right on Liv, right, it's a little bit too obvious. And then what? And then you have Liv feud with who until Rhea comes back?
Nia, Becky even.
Probably
but just
Nia.
she's champion.
But for what reason, though? I think
her and Becky had the whole thing before Mania. They had that whole thing about each one one-upping the other and like costing the other. You also can continue that storyline, but now Liv's the champ.
Yeah, and had you put it on Nia, that storyline is so easy with the broken nose and that memorable image of they could have went that way too and had Becky still positioned in the matches, right? Like still there as one of the two competitors just chasing as opposed to having the belt.
So they even could have done Liv and Nia. They were doing stuff just last week.
That, for me, would have made the most sense because that just seems natural. It seems like they've already been doing that.
Right. It's also, to me, it would have been the perfect way to complete the Liv Morgan heel turn without having to change her character at all. Yeah. She injures Rhea Ripley, and now she has Rhea Ripley's title. Yep. The crowd would hate her for that.
Yep.
Yeah, it could be. Or maybe it's just like, hey, who do we want to keep on the Raw brand? And maybe they feel like Becky is the safest, most versatile person they can leave there. Because who knows? If Liv gets drafted, we have to look. We'll talk about the draft in a little bit and who is eligible to be drafted on SmackDown Friday night and who's eligible to be drafted on Raw Monday night. There's some interesting rules, which I think they actually did really well with. But we'll talk about that in a little bit.
You got to balance it because of the difference in the hours and shows.
Right. But overall, with the draft coming up, the unexpected injury to Rhea Ripley, yes, they've been making some amazing things happen in the WWE right now as far as booking goes, but they're not magicians. Like sometimes you got to go back to the well and you got to just do something that's safe. I mean, how many times did Charlotte Flair hold a freaking title? It was 15 times? So Becky, I don't think it's been a champion for 2 years. It's almost been 2 years.
No, it has been. The last time she was champion
was 2022?
Mania 38. When she drops it to
she dropped it to Belair.
So it's been a while. It's not like this was something that just happened. So I'm not saying this is you guys. I'm just saying like I was on online and I'm seeing more people angry about this than usual. And it's like I don't know. Sometimes people's fantasy booking, it's like a dog chasing a car.
Yeah.
It's like people just bark and bark until they catch the car. And they're like, fuck, what do I do with this now?
And I think too, in some ways, the online hate is always going to be there, good, bad, or indifferent. In some ways, I kind of like that some of it is here because I think it's a clear message from the IWC that we know like things are different. Things have changed. You shown us and told us things are changing. We want to continue that and move forward and move forward and move forward. Part of it with the IWC might be they'd be like, okay, well, we've seen this happen before where we revert back to the old. We don't want that to happen again, so we want to keep pushing. Right. So I think in some spaces, obviously, some people genuinely are advocating, listen, no, we just wanted a fresh face, someone new to put the strap on and go and go and go. Right. Then you have the other detractors who are just anti-Becky or anti the establishment or anti whatever. So there's obviously that mixed bag. But some of it, at least maybe I'm trying to look at this shit half glass full, right? I'm trying to think maybe this is folks away and saying like, no, we're embracing this new era. This is where we want to continue to go and push and push and push. I'm hoping that's where some of the hate is, but naturally some of it is just because of Becky, how people feel, or because of the role she played. Because similar, when Charlotte Flair was getting the belt every fucking week, it drove me crazy. Right?
Yeah.
So I get it.
Some people just want to hate. They'll find anything that they can glom onto. And I do think that's a big part of this is ooh, this is something I can easily shit on WWE for, even though they don't really deserve to be shit on in any capacity right now.
We're looking at Becky like, well, she's an author now. She writes books. She doesn't care about wrestling. Not that any of that shit is true, but those are the dumb things that people will pick up on and just make noise when noise isn't needed. Because the one thing we do know is Becky's going to be one hell of a champ. And she's going to handle that and do everything she can to put everyone over, put the company over. I know you mentioned it actually, Mike, where you were like, well, if she's a little beat up, she might have to come back. She might be getting the belt. And I hope she's not beat up for that same case. And she might be, right? I don't want it to be the same thing in terms of her husband, who just completely beat all the way down and then has to take a longer absence or isn't giving the matches that they want to give.
Right. That's my thing. Before Rhea got injured, as far as we knew, like all the reports that were coming out, Becky was supposed to take some time off. And now they put the title on her and not let her still take that time off. Like, she's going to have to be around for a while, for as long as she's champion at least now.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting. I mean, there's definitely some feuds that you could go right into. I mean, if you want to go towards what we consider probably the top two is Nia and Liv, right? Those are probably the top two potential feuds, right?
At least pre-draft, like before we know who else is on Raw. Exactly. Right now, those are the top two on Raw.
But hey, what about a little Tiffy time? What about?
Well, she's going to be going after Bayley on SmackDown.
We don't know that. It could be a shake-up in the draft.
It could be, but I think she stays on SmackDown.
And to that point, wherever the hell she goes, she needs to be in the main event picture.
Yes, I think she's there. I think she's there
ready for that push. I think she can handle all of it.
I think I would wait a little bit because I think she would be perfect with the women's Money in the Bank.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, I'd put that on her. I wouldn't put her in the title scene. I would put the Money in the Bank on her.
Imagine her coming out with a nice pink
briefcase for the next year.
Like, she could dazzle it. That'd be dope. That'd be dope.
I think the best option for the women's Money in the Bank is either Chelsea Green.
That's my number 2.
For the humor factor, because she would be so funny. And she'd probably lose.
Right.
She would probably lose her cash in.
Be like an accidental cash in.
She'd be the first. I think she'd be the first woman to lose.
Yeah. Probably.
That would totally. But she'd be so good.
Absolutely.
I also
think
think
be perfect there.
Jade Cargill would be a great person to have the Money in the Bank. And here's why. I know that she technically doesn't need it because of her power and, but think about the fear that would, would strike into anybody. And she doesn't need you to be completely weak to do it.
Right.
And I think it also gives her, because we know what's already going to happen. You know what happens to any of these superstars that come in and they build up, they're going to, no matter what they do with Jade, people are going to say that she got a rocket ship attached to her back and shot up to the moon. Well, with the Money in the Bank, you can't really make the excuse. It's written in the contract. You get to cash it in. And that's her way of being like, yep, I'm the champion because I won the Money in the Bank. You could have had the same opportunity and you didn't. Not just like, why is she in the main event? How did she get here type of thing.
And something cool I think they could do with that, remind me if this has ever happened before, but what if she has the Money in the Bank and she actually cashes in, but like through an actual contract signing in a real match? Like big enough where she's like, I don't need to jump you, do all this. No, I want to sit in front of you and tell you, no, I'm facing you and I'm taking that belt from you because that's how confident I am in my ability.
So there's only one time that I remember that happening, and it was when RVD cashed in on Cena at ECW One Night Stand 2.
Yes.
He pre-announced ahead of time. I'm cashing this in to be the main event.
I just saw that clip. Somebody just shared that recently.
But it, again, hasn't happened often. Hasn't happened with the women. Who better than Jade to be like, I don't need any of that. Like, I'm good enough to beat you when you're 100%, and I'm telling you that. Right. That would be dope.
The only reason I don't want it to be Jade is because I'd rather see her win the Women's Rumble, and I don't think they're going to do both for one woman.
Probably not.
And not in the same year, at least.
And it would make sense with her strength and all her abilities to actually win the Rumble, throw out 20 people, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, I can see it. I think either way, we know, whether it's Money in the Bank, Royal Rumble, next year main event, she's going to be highly positioned on that card.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, but I could also see, somebody like Tiffany Stratton winning the Royal Rumble as well. Let's say Jade does win Money in the Bank and she becomes a champion at some point this year going into the Rumble. Tiffy's is somebody that could win it easily.
Oh, I agree.
I think they'd put on some bangers
because she's great. The women's division is just so good right now. You have a great balance of like your powerful women like Bianca and Jade and Nia. And then you have like some of your comedic acts like Chelsea Green, who I think is great. Oh, and Tiffany Stratton. And then of course you have your workhorses like, Becky and Bayley and people that have been established for quite some time. So it's been good.
Even as much as we've grown sick of her, Charlotte. She is still a workhorse and still a phenomenal women's
wrestler. Do we have
any
idea when she's coming back?
I don't. I haven't heard anything about her injury.
I have no interest in Charlotte Flair.
I never have. And I, in the most respectful way possible, I know she's a beast in the ring, all these different things. She's just never done it for me.
Same.
And again, I know what she can do. She's a beast, but she's just never.
I mean it in a respectful way as well, but to me, that it like that's a person that bores me because like she went through her Super Cena phase where it was like here she is again, here she is again,
so insufferable.
Here she is again, and it was the worst. And it was like even. You know, she got way more opportunities than what they call like that golden women's revolution
so many.
of you know superstars that came in, and it just got old very fast. So
and especially with her, it's easy. And again, we know how good she is, so I don't think this is the case. But it's so easy to lean into the nepotism thing with her.
Right.
Oh, big time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
it's the name, her dad, he was literally there ringside for a lot of that run, and even interfering and doing different things. So like, I don't think that did her any favors either.
No,
Rightly or wrongly, it didn't do her any favors.
But she put the work in, and you know she got a lot what she deserved. It was just
too much.
bad booking, and it was
it was too much all at once.
Exactly.
Like, had it been spaced out and all that. Another person who's similar, who I haven't always been the biggest fan of, is a beast, great at what they do and work. Shayna Baszler. Where does she
They
play
haven't
into
given
this
her-
equation? She popped up on NXT the other day, which was really, really cool to see her there. But I'm thinking it looks like they're slowly working her back, getting her more on TV, more on camera. I'm wondering what they're going to do with her. Because she's another one she's been in the main event picture.
Right.
Only 2-time NXT Women's Champ ever. Like, she can have a title and have a run on the main roster, etc. I wonder where they position her. Maybe in the draft we see it shake out in the summer, but I'm wondering. I feel like she's going to have a prominent role to play.
I agree because I think Triple H is a really big fan of hers. He made her I know combined she's the longest NXT Women's Champion. I forget if one of her single runs past Asuka is the longest
That I'm not
Women's
sure.
Champion. That I don't remember, but I know at least her combined reign, she's the longest NXT Women's Champion of all time. So Triple H is a big fan, so I think he is going to push her. And she did this stuff with Bloodsport during Mania weekend, so she's somebody who has that can go to other promotions
and to
appeal.
approve that. Like,
Right,
they're not
exactly,
approving that for, no offense, Tiffany Stratton is not getting that thumbs up to go and do that at this point.
No, and she's like an actual main
And it
event.
makes sense,
main event threat. Like you fear fighting her. You know, if she could go toe to toe with anybody.
Right.
And she was a great tag champion too. You know, like she's versatile. I don't hate that, but yeah, it's a deep division. Just lay off of Becky, chill. All right, they'll figure it out. They'll put something together.
There's a lot worse ways they could have gone.
100%.
It could have been a lot worse.
I agree. I just also think it could have been better.
But
personally,
agreed.
Definitely, and then we, of course, we're talking new champions this week. We got to talk Trick Williams, which
Trick Willy, baby.
we had to figure it was happening, right? They talk about a guy who is, the hottest thing going at NXT, came off of a banger of a match, Mania weekend, and finally gets the strap. And I think it makes sense. Ilya was ready to come up.
Oh, yeah, he's going to get drafted.
So he's going to get drafted. He's coming up to the main, quote unquote, main roster. And Trick Willy is now ready to take the reins down there at NXT. Man, you got to go through Trick Willy to get to the top. And the coolest thing about that, great match. I like the finish. I thought it was a cool, way to finish the match. But the crowd.
The camera literally
was shaking.
That angle where the camera was in the crowd looking down, and if that was an awesome. That was we talk about camera shots. That was an awesome camera shot.
That was such a cool camera shot, and just you could tell the people are really behind this dude because the whole crowd was super into it. The camera shaking. Trick Willy, we all believe in him. We all know that he's gonna now, as some of these guys are gonna be coming out of NXT over the next few days with the draft. He's ready for it.
I think he's beyond ready for it. I thought the match was cool. The finish was interesting. Those that watch Dynasty.
It was a callback, right?
It was
not a callback, but it was very similar to.
It's the same as the way Danielson and Ospreay finished.
Right.
So, and I think there's some nuggets, and we'll unpack this. There was a tweet from Triple H earlier that talks about Wembley, and I think there's some things that WWE is doing to not necessarily combat what AEW is doing, but to just kind of poke the bear a little bit.
Absolutely.
And I
for
think
sure.
that was absolutely one of them. And the spot was great. Like, that spot could have went a little left, but the way Trick delivered the knee and everything, it went over so well. The match was awesome. I think many of us knew obviously what was going to happen. You lose, you got to leave NXT. We knew Trick wasn't leaving yet. Ilya had his cameo on Raw a couple weeks ago, won a match, and looked great in the process. Yeah. So he's more than ready to go up. And Trick's been ready. I mean, he beat Mello at Stand and Deliver, runs it back, beats him in the cage to kind of get that another opportunity with Ilya. They put on a banger. Shout out to Ilya at the end, grabbing the belt, the emotion, giving him the hug. That was awesome. Like you mentioned, the crowd shots at the end, like folks are just rallying around Trick. Like few I think we've seen before, especially at the NXT level. Like it kind of reminds me of a little bit of like the organic love that Gargano got and some of the others. They just built it up,
but even more.
Yeah, like he's taken that to newer heights and different levels. He was on SportsCenter a couple weeks ago. He's been everywhere, so you can clearly tell they're positioning to be a big face in the company. Couldn't be more happy for him. Obviously, we got a chance to chat with him at Wrestlemania. He seems like a good dude. It doesn't seem like anybody has anything bad to say for him. So down to earth, so just kind of in the moment, which I love. And we talked about it, like him being able to main event Mania in a few years. Right. And now we can clearly see that trajectory is there, 100%.
Him and Mello have a dynamic where they remind me a lot of two older wrestlers. Mello reminds me a lot of like a Shawn Michaels, where he's very charismatic, but he's actually better in ring than he is charisma-wise. Where Trick reminds me a lot of The Rock. He's good in ring, not great, but he is charismatic as a motherfucker. It just comes to him like so naturally, and you're like, holy shit.
Yep.
How are you like this?
And he's still so new to this.
Yeah,
like this is still so new to him. Like he literally was trying out on the practice squad of the Eagles just a few years ago.
Yeah,
like it all happened so quickly.
I mean, he only debuted with Mello, like 2 years ago?
Yeah, I don't even think it was a full 2. Like it was not that long ago. And to see him go from really like the sidekick, like the Diesel to HBK to now he's the man. He's handled it well. Shout out to Shawn Michaels, who has obviously handled it extremely well. I don't think he gets enough credit for literally just picking off where Triple H left off. Like he did. They don't miss a beat. Obviously, you know how tight the two of them are. They basically share a brain, and you can see it.
Oh yeah.
Because NXT has not changed, and if it has, it's only changed for the better.
The only difference is they now do more former Shawn Michaels storylines.
Yes.
Like he does incorporate his own stories a lot into NXT stories, which I love it. Don't get me. I'm not knocking it. It's just fun. You notice it.
Yeah. I God forgive me. Okay. I saw like a still of Shawn Michaels the other day, like looking at something, and his eye was doing the eye thing, and I chuckled.
Did he have a hat
a little
on?
bit. Yeah, he just.
You didn't see the bald head.
I forgot what the caption was. It was something like it was like a super Shawn Michaels looks on as whatever, and it was just too much for me. And I know it was from an injury. I know it's terrible. I know I'm a bad person. All right, but
he would laugh at it.
Sometimes it just hits you.
I just snuck up on me.
Right.
I should have known to expect it by now. It's been a very long time since Shawn Michaels had 2 functioning properly eyes, but it just fucks me up. I don't know.
I get it.
Am I a bad person
no,
for that?
No, not
it is
at
what
all.
it is. If people want to make fun of me, go ahead, laugh at me. I'm whatever. But it was just a funny moment, and I'm very curious to see now with the shakeup that's going to be happening with the draft, how Trick Willy takes over NXT, and how some of these other guys that come up to the main roster, where their role is going to be.
Yeah,
and in turn, who may go the opposite way to NXT, and who could be a potential new challenger
I think they're
for
getting
Trick.
like the free agents or something like that.
Yeah. So the way it came across on this past Tuesday on NXT, it sounds like NXT could have people drafted, but they're not going to be drafting anybody.
Okay.
So their talents for the taking, but they're not taking.
Yes.
Like nobody's coming to them. Is how it came across to me at least.
Okay.
Yes. That's the understanding that I have as well. Also, anybody not drafted is eligible to also sign with NXT as well.
If you're a free agent, you can sign
Yeah.
any
So that could
one
be
of
a
the
nice
3
little
brands.
loophole.
Yeah.
Where I
So
can
that-
see if someone coming back from injury or somebody
Right.
who's been under the radar can now jump into that. I know there's been some cryptic messaging on Raw. I think a lot of folks think it has to do with Uncle Howdy in that storyline. But there could be some, because I saw another one of those kind of cryptic things, which did not seem Uncle Howdy at all. It seemed like could have been another surprise. So maybe there's someone else who comes in who we don't know, who jumps into the picture that we just didn't know was coming.
Yeah, it's definitely possible, and those little blips with the QR codes,
Right.
those have been pretty cool.
Have any of you guys scan those and follow them?
I never catch it.
I
but
never get to it enough time.
Somebody did post it online.
Yeah.
It's just like cryptic,
they're
very
like pictures and video type stuff.
very cryptic things.
I'm really interested. So there's 3 people I think for sure are going to get drafted from NXT, but I'm intrigued to see how many people get drafted from NXT.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I said, there are 3, I think, slam dunks being Ilya, Mello, and
Braun.
I think Lyra Valkyria. Well, Braun's technically already on
Braun's
SmackDown.
technically already on Smack. I keep forgetting that because that was like during the Mania season, and it's like
100%.
they got
I
lost.
totally get it.
Yeah.
But technically, he's already on SmackDown, so he's not the one I'm counting. But I do think those 3, probably Baron Corbin as well. I think he's about to get
I
drafted.
think he's ready to come back up. And I think he kind of alluded to as much in like his thank you to Braun in terms of like, now I feel like I can be back at that level. Lyra's an interesting one because I thought about Becky when I thought about Lyra.
Right.
Obviously, that's her understudy. She won the NXT title off Becky, so I don't know that they would push her to that main event level with Becky at this point. I don't think that's going to happen, but I can see her playing a role, whether it's at the aid of Becky or ultimately at the aid of Becky to build up a turn. She might turn heel. So I think that she's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Obviously, if Roxanne didn't have the title, I think she's
I
more
agree. Yeah,
than
if she
ready
wasn't
to
still
come
champion,
up now.
she would be called. I really thought this Tuesday, I thought Paxley was going to win, and Lyra and Roxanne were both getting the call up. But with Roxanne winning, I think they're going to keep her on NXT at least for a little bit longer.
I think she wants another run. The way her last run ended.
Right, yeah.
I think she wants a full run before she goes up. She's definitely ready. We've seen it. She had her
She's
match
incredible.
A couple weeks ago, so I think that's interesting. There is one name who I think, and I saw actually someone on a Facebook post who alluded to this, and we'll get into this a little bit later. I don't want to jump the gun here, but Giovanni Vinci may have some more free time on his hands. Could he potentially go back to NXT?
That's very
and
possible.
Have another run. He had a singles run in NXT 2.0, which was amazing. Him and Mello had some bangers.
Yeah.
There's this one spot against Apollo Crews. Apollo jumps off the top rope. He catches him. Forget it was kind of like in a suplex manner and lifted him up, never touched the ground. So it's impressive.
He caught him literally in
as he
the
was
air,
falling.
vertically
It was
almost
insane.
already.
It made no sense. So maybe he gets an opportunity to go down. And I think the shakeup should be and could be used to get guys back down there. Let's give you some time, get you back down on developmental, quote unquote, and let you kind of work your way back up, work on your gimmick, fine tune things, work on something new, work on something different. I think he could be a really good candidate for
Or even just guys like, well, we don't have anything for you here. Maybe Sean has something for you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll let you go down there and see what he's got.
And I think now NXT's looked at so differently. It's not looked at like, oh, I'm getting a demotion.
Right, exactly, yeah.
I think some men and women might even want it, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
It could revitalize you. Look at Baron Corbin.
Right.
Baron Corbin's a perfect example of that, of a guy that's like, hey, things weren't really working out on the main, quote unquote, we keep saying main roster for me anymore, but let me go down here and team up with Braun and do all this, become tag champions. And now look, he's going to come up with some type of clout and some type of hype. Not hype, but some reassured of his talent again. So I think that was good for him. It was a good move overall. And just a few housekeeping things from SmackDown that we have to bring up is the tag titles. The tag titles are fire. I am in love with the tag titles. I think are the WWE Tag Champions, right? That's what they're being called.
WWE.
The WWE Tag Champions. I think they're gorgeous. I think they're very nostalgic. They have the whatever shape that is that we talked about with like that Attitude Era, also the Ruthless Aggression Era had very similar shaped titles, and they will be brand specific. So because they said that the current champions, besides the women's tag team champions, because there's only one set, they can be drafted on either show. The current champions will be staying on their respective shows. Right. So Cody's going to stay on SmackDown. You're going to keep Damian Priest over on Raw. You're going to keep the tag champions where they are, the Awesome Truth. And I'm drawing a blank here. Grayson Waller and yeah. So they're going to stay where they are. And I think that makes sense because the way the titles are designed are basically a set. So they would want to keep them with their respective shows. I love these titles, though.
They're the best titles in the company right now.
Beautiful.
So it pisses me off now about the Raw titles.
Yeah,
we talked about it like a set, right? So the Raw title looks like the heavyweight. Right. What is it? Undisputed? No, not undisputed.
No, it looks like the world heavyweight.
Heavyweight title, and then this SmackDown. They're a complete departure from the title we have there. So in a good way, because I think we all love them this way. But it was random. Like I would love to know why those Raw titles look exactly like the heavyweight title, but on SmackDown they went a different way.
Maybe they just thought like it's harder to get that design in the circle that they originally were thinking. That's the only thing I can think of. Like, it was harder to get it in that circle shape as opposed to the
there's no way I was expecting them to not look like that title, the Universal title.
I expected the same thing, but a circle.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. Do you mind closing that blind behind you, by the way? It's going right in my eyeball. Me too. No, that side. Just turn that to the right. Bang, let's go. Look at that. Beautiful. So I am a big fan of the tag titles. I do like the fact that the champions will be staying on their respective shows. And I think that it's going to be, overall pretty good. AJ Styles, number one contender to face Cody.
Thankfully. Because did you guys watch SmackDown this week?
Yes.
The promo Cody cut on AJ is the best thing he's done since before Mania. Yeah. I'm so glad he has somebody to focus on now because now he has promos that are actually
good. Not out here like, hey, look, I did it.
Yeah. They're not just talking for 5 minutes to fill time like they were on the Raw after Mania and on the SmackDown after Mania.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that makes sense. And we've talked about before how AJ kind of wanted to have another run.
Right.
So I don't think he's not going to get the title now, but it at least puts him in the championship main event scene. And I think that eventually it's possible, with the 2 titles floating around, depends on where he gets drafted. Maybe I don't know.
I'm hoping he stays on SmackDown because I would like to see them run this for more than.
I was going to say, because isn't this match at Backlash?
Yeah.
So technically he has to stay on SmackDown.
He doesn't have to because the match is already booked, so they could do the match. He could get technically he could get drafted to Raw. He wins the title, and now the title's on Raw.
So they would have both titles on Raw?
Well, not necessarily, because Jey Uso could win the world title and then get drafted to SmackDown.
Oh, God.
Because the draft is before Backlash. So the titles technically could still move, it's just they can't be drafted right now.
That is so messy.
I don't think it's going to happen. It's not what's... It's just saying, technically speaking, it could happen.
Drop the belt.
Yeah, that's messy as hell.
Yeah, there's no way Cody's going to drop the belt first defense.
No. No.
AJ Styles. As much as I love AJ Styles, I've said before he's probably my 3rd favorite wrestler of all time. He's not the one that's beating Cody for that title.
He's not.
No.
He's not. But I do love it because the heel work we've seen from him in this iteration has been amazing.
Great.
He looks great.
His new theme song's really good.
The 2 of them have there's a lot you can do with the 2 of them. Yeah. Bullet Club obviously being prolific in that. We know the Good Brothers and Michin I think are up for the draft, so maybe they play a role in this. Maybe they team back up with AJ and ultimately turn on him, or vice versa. There's a lot of different ways they can go. I think the 2 of them in the ring are going to be money. They both can work their ass off, especially AJ makes everybody look better. Yep. So I think that's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun little feud.
I agree. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully it goes a couple pay-per-views and not just Backlash. I'd like to see them run this for a little bit.
Yeah, and I love that they put AJ Styles and LA Knight right back in a match against each other. Yep. Like at this time with something to fight for.
And it might have been better.
Yeah.
Like their Mania match wasn't bad. It was better than I was expecting. Yeah, but I think the SmackDown one was better than the Mania one.
Yeah. Speaking of WrestleMania matches that were not great, the Usos, their match against each other we've talked about, it was kind of disappointing. And Jey admits he's also a little upset that he feels like he let people down in the match at Mania against his brother Jimmy, who is now injured, by the way. Jimmy Uso is injured. But Jey basically, he came out and said it. He's like, we were so much focus on like the emotion of the match and trying to portray that we didn't really put on a banger. Right. And, I think, are they just too similar, like in their move set and everything, that they just can't?
Possibly. I haven't actually seen the interview yet, but I thought I read somewhere he also said their time got cut.
Yeah, time got cut.
That's right, timing, yes.
10 minutes of it got
cut out.
So
just as they were going out.
When they readjusted their match, they probably didn't readjust it properly.
Yeah, he alluded to that.
That's a fucking art form to readjust in the last second to get it to be good. I totally get why they didn't readjust.
10 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what he said. He said it was a timing issue. He goes, there's a lot of stuff we planned that we wanted to do that we didn't get to, but we still wanted to make sure the emotion was prevalent, and I think they maybe leaned into that a little more than they necessarily leaned into the quality of the match. I guess it was, I don't want to say confirming or reassuring that he came out and said that. I think a lot of us thought that. I was trying to put a positive spin and be like, well, no, it was good in these spots and this, that, and the other. But I think overall everyone was pretty disappointed. I'm curious, and I meant to look this up. What was the match before then? Do we know who went long?
I think they were shaving off time probably for the main event.
Yeah.
Because the main event went 45 minutes.
It did. That sucks.
Also didn't need to be 45 minutes.
It didn't.
That's neither here nor there, I think. No. I think the match, I'm trying to remember. The match before that would have been, I want to say, the 6-woman tag.
Was that it?
I think so, because I think it went.
I think it was, because it was kind of sandwiched in. That was what, Jey and Jimmy was the 3rd match of the night, or the 4th match of the night?
4th or 5th, I think. Because I think if I'm remembering correctly,
I think that was the match.
It started with Rhea Becky.
Yep.
Then it was the ladder match. Then it was the Jason Kelsey involvement match. Then I think it was the 6-woman tag.
I like the way you summed that up.
Then it was the Usos. Then Sammy and Gunther. And then the main event. I think is the order of night one.
I think that's correct, yeah. So either way, it's kind of sandwiched in the middle. I was curious. I was like, I couldn't think back to what match. I was like, is there any one specific culprit who was responsible for this? Or, to your point, shaving it off, which sucks. Yeah, that sucks. Especially finding out, like, literally as you're walking through the curtain.
Or it's entirely possible Becky and Rhea went long, because that match was a bit lengthy. And then, like, they had to backtrack and everything else up to the main event.
Possible.
So that's possible. That could have been that as well.
Shame either way. Shame.
Shame either way, but it's fine. They're aware of it, and I'm sure at some point in their career they'll get a chance to make up for it.
I think there's a rematch coming somewhere.
Definitely. And we call that pause for lighting. That's what we call that right there. Little break in the action. So yeah, that was pretty much. Do we care about the King of the Ring? Like, is that something we care about?
I want to care about it, but I need WWE to care about it
Same.
before
Like,
I
I need
can
it to
care
mean
about it.
something.
Like when obviously Austin, right, the birth of
Right.
316, it held so much prestige. Even I loved Xavier's run a couple years ago when he won it. Like
Yeah.
that was cool.
It was cool that he won it,
because
but
he
he
was
didn't
pushing
do anything
forward, and
afterwards.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then that's the thing. Like, what is the payoff?
Right.
So like, I'd love to get behind Gunther going, winning the King of the Ring, and what that's going to look like. But I don't know that WWE is going to invest in it the way they should.
What they need to do is what they kind of did for a small period of time, where the winner of the King of the Ring is the number one contender for a title at SummerSlam.
Yeah, it's got to come with
Yeah.
something,
Right.
Like,
And not just King.
The King of
Although
the
I
Ring
think it's
used to
gonna
be such a great pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Like back
Yeah.
in the day,
Yep.
like there was some great matches in those King of the Ring pay-per-views.
Guys, scrap for a few times in a night. Like,
Right.
yeah, it was like one of those destination type pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Fucking Bret Hart, the '93 King of the Ring, he
Yep.
kills it.
Yep.
3 separate matches.
So
They're
many,
all great.
so many good ones. So many.
Yeah, there
fucking
was some
good
great ones.
over
I
the
don't know.
years.
I'm just having a hard time caring about it right now.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Like even Gunther, him announcing that he's going for the King of the Ring felt like a step down almost, you know. But who
I think
knows?
it's-
Maybe they're thinking about completely revamping it and making
Right.
it a prestigious thing again. But
And
as,
that could be his way towards the title. He wins the
Right.
King of the Ring. Now he does have, like to your point, have a title shot or becomes in a number one contender match. Something where it comes with some. I hope so.
who
'Cause
else
again,
announced?
like
Was
the
it
prestige-
Sheamus? Was it Drew?
Xavier said he's. I
Drew
think
did.
Xavier
You're right,
said he's
Drew
going to
did.
do it
Drew
again.
did too, right? Yeah.
Which I think he's probably
Could
going to
be.
win.
Yeah, probably.
Because then that's how they'll build to him getting the title shot.
I will
at
say him
Clash
and
of the
Gunther
Castle.
in the finals of King of the Ring.
Oh,
would be
hell
a
yes.
fucking
That'd be
banger.
Sign me the
lit.
fuck
Sign
up
me
for
up,
that.
man. That'd be a banger.
That would definitely be a banger. But yeah, that was. I don't know. I feel like
No, I wanna care.
they made it seem big enough that they felt like their biggest stars or some of their biggest stars right now
cut that
felt the
promo.
need to announce that they were going to be in it.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what they do with it. Maybe they'll prove us wrong.
Also, short little sidetrack. Incredible to see. Not that he was that bad last week. Let's be real. But the amount of change Sheamus had in 1 week. Holy fuck! Has
Yeah.
that man been
See?
putting in work?
I know.
Yep.
Yeah. I
It
again.
was inevitable, folks.
And they laid into it with Drew and
Yeah.
the burger jokes and all that stuff.
So Drew is basically just real life internet, right? Like
Yeah,
that's what he
he
is
is
right
the
now.
IWC
He is
in
the
human
yeah.
form.
Yeah,
He
he's
is.
basically taking
killing
on
it, though.
the
Oh,
human
absolutely.
form.
He's fucking killing it.
Yeah, he's funny and like Sheamus playing along with it. I think that's great. They're old friends, so if
Yeah, that
anybody's
makes
gonna
sense.
bust his balls in the rings like that, it might as well be
And
Drew.
the thing I love for Drew is Drew, who we know had through many different iterations. We think of 3MB. There's been times where there was nothing for Drew.
Right?
He has no shortage of opponents, storylines, ways he can go. He's built himself. We can see him go with Punk. We can see him go with Rollins. We can see him go with Sheamus. We can see him go with Gunther. We could see him run it back with Roman. Like, he can go at anybody, and he's done such a good job to always make sure he's going to be prevalent and at the top of the card for
Absolutely.
the foreseeable future.
Yeah,
He is the epitome of show us we were wrong for releasing you.
Yeah.
And he absolutely did that.
he has been. He hasn't officially signed though, right?
He hasn't re-signed yet, but
Yeah, I don't
they
think
all
so.
expect he's about
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, especially with the what they've given him recently, you got to imagine he's probably
Oh,
going to
that's the
stick
thing. Like,
around.
what, 6-9 months ago? I think probably a lot of folks still heard
Yeah.
he's going to leave. He's going
Right.
to go. They're not doing anything with him. We know what he could do. So kudos to him.
So
putting
there
the work in.
there was a story that came out late last week or early this week, I forget where allegedly WWE management is not that concerned about losing people to AEW at the moment.
Yeah,
they're like
I mean,
we're probably going to resign him.
I
They're not going to jump ship now.
things have changed a
Yeah.
bit in the last 6 months. Not only just AEW, where they may have slid a little bit, but what WWE has also risen to.
We're like a year, exactly your point. This time a year ago, they were probably like, "Fuck, this guy might."
Yeah,
jump ship.
there was a
Yeah.
lot of guys who we thought could have and might have,
Yeah.
And speaking of AEW, this might as well be our kayfabe cousins AEW update because
bringing
it's
our third
been,
cousin in on this one.
Yeah,
That's right.
I'll have a little bit to say on this. I did
Second
watch
cousin twice removed.
exactly. We're all Rhode Island cousins because
Right.
everybody's related in Rhode
That's
Island.
true.
AEW Dynasty. It was cool. It was cool. I don't know. I might be the wrong person to ask about this or to talk about this because
You're going to be the Bully Ray of this segment.
Right.
I'm not the bully Ray. I just
It wasn't for you.
as much as there's things in AEW I do enjoy, there's just some things that I just don't.
Yeah,
Fair.
That's
And
fair.
I just can't get behind. And I think that it's just the style, some of the style of wrestling that I just personally am not the biggest fan of.
That's
It's-
fair.
it's
I'm not,
different.
I'm not a
It's
big
very
fan
different.
of spot fest, no selling. I'm not into that. I know that's a very Japanese.
You're not
very,
a big like indie wrestling guy. This is basically
Not
indie
huge.
wrestling on like
Yes.
a main
Right,
level.
with the money.
Exactly right.
I can understand it, but to me, there's certain things about it that I'm just not into, and I
fair.
think that's fine. Everybody has a
Absolutely.
taste in
And
it. You
that's
know it.
not to pat myself. That's literally why I said Bully Ray, because that's the exact comment he
Right,
made.
exactly.
He
Yeah.
was talking to, I think, Eric Bischoff. I only saw a minute of it, so I don't want to judge. But he's basically saying like, yeah, it's only so much I can go. Holy shit, fight
Exactly.
forever. We want more. Like I can only pop so much.
I
So
agree.
I get it.
I'm about a
get it.
story being told. I would prefer less super kick, less forearms, less let's stand in the middle and just punch each other back and forth 4 times separately in the same match. That stuff to me, I get it. I'll watch it. Cool, but it's I'm not gonna give you a Meltzer scale of how many fucking stars it is. To me, that's like, all right, how many times are we going to do this? Like, let's get to the finish here, type of thing. I'd rather a story be told, go off into the crowd, look around, reverse it with a trash can. Like, I'm into that type of shit. So I might be the wrong person to talk about AEW, which is why I usually leave it up to the kayfabe cousins. But overall, I thought it was okay. And I did like the main event, and I think that it's cool that Swerve is the champion.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that. I'll leave the kayfabe cousins to
I
it.
was very glad that I was wrong last week when I said I didn't think he was going to win it.
Yeah.
Now AEW needs to make sure I'm wrong again, where I said I thought Ospreay's going to win it at All In, because that still could happen, and now it needs to not happen.
it shouldn't
Swerve
happen.
needs a good run with this. I don't want to
needs to
see
get
him
the
drop it till at least like full gear in November.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
he needs a good long run as champ.
He's deserving. I think he put the
Absolutely.
work in. The crowd, and I want to give kudos to the crowd, because the one thing that absolutely kills me about AEW pay-per-views is the length. This was an over
Yes.
4 hour
It was so
pay-per-view.
long.
You have the pre-show, which was an hour and a half. There's so much. So even me, I stayed up for the whole pay-per-view. I really enjoyed it. I tend to really enjoy AEW pay-per-views because I feel like that's when they usually bring their best. And everybody performs and really puts on bangers. So I enjoyed it. Obviously, when we'll talk about it in a minute, I feel bad for the main event. I feel bad for Joe and Swerve for what they had to follow two times
I know.
over. Two
It was
times
insane.
over what they had to follow. So they didn't do them any favors, and they did a great job. They kept the crowd alive. They kept the crowd hot. Shout out to Prince Nana.
Oh, hell yeah.
Had those fucking Whose House chants going and helped build it up over
That
those
fucking
first few minutes.
Swerve entrance was
Yes,
so incredible.
so fucking awesome. Came out as the Black Panther,
Yeah.
which was dope. Obviously went over, even the way he went over that final stomp, the camera angle from behind him. I've noticed AEW starting to try some new camera angles too.
It's like they're trying not to get
so
left
it's
in
a
the
little
dust.
interesting.
Yeah.
They're trying to do some things. Some of them, which we'll get into in a second, I think is a little desperate. But thought the pay-per-view was dope. I thought Swerve, shout out to him. He's deserving of the opportunity to have the strap and have the belt first. Obviously Black African American
AEW champ.
AEW World Heavyweight Champ.
Yeah, right.
Which was awesome. But yeah, I thought the pay-per-view overall was great. Obviously, the match before that was very, very interesting. It was the Bucks versus FTR for the 4th time, as we talked about last
ladder
week.
match this time.
In a ladder match, which was dope. And it was the end of a tournament, which I totally forgot it was a fucking tournament.
I did
Completely
too.
forgot until they announced it after. Like, when is the tournament? I'm like, I didn't know it was a tournament, because the way they obviously built the storyline. So obviously, the Bucks go over as we thought, as we expected. The scapegoat himself, Jack Perry, comes in. I got to say, that run-in was so well done. I saw someone tweeted that was the most realistic security I've ever seen on a run.
For real. It's weird though that's the moment they
That
tackle
they always
somebody.
do it when
But
like
I loved it because when they took his mask off and he had that shit-eating grin,
Yep.
I laughed so
and
hard
him
at
and security,
that.
like that one security who's now like a superstar. He's at Wale Mania, like he's the man. I know he goes by like Beast. I don't know what his actual name is, but even his face was like,
Right.
the fuck, it's you, Jack
Right,
Perry? Like,
exactly.
what the fuck? What are you
He
doing
leaned
here?
into it.
It was good. That was well done.
Yeah.
Even after like the Bucks doing this and all, like they leaned into it. They thought they did as good of a job with that match as they could. It was a great
absolutely.
match
It was
overall. The
solid
spots
match.
were awesome. Some of those spots were a little reckless. The crowd was chanting,
Yeah,
please be careful.
Yeah.
I think that was the first time I heard a please be careful chant, or at least for a very long time. So that was dope. And then obviously the match before that, which in my opinion, we talked about this recently, Takeshita and Ospreay was the match of the year.
It's been
no longer the match of the year. People are talking about the greatest match ever. I'm not going to go that
I'm not
far.
gonna go
It's
that
also
far
way
either,
too
but
soon to be saying anything like
yeah.
that. But absolutely my match of the year. Absolutely the best match I've ever seen on AEW television. I think so. I think I can go that far. But even that might be a lot. Even that might be hyperbole. It's still fresh. But that was, what didn't that match have?
Oh, I 100% agree. It's definitely in my top 3 AEW matches.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, my order of my top 3 are so hard to pick between because I got Cody Dustin at first.
That was
Double
good.
Nothing
That was
is
good.
phenomenal.
Oh, the storytelling, of course.
Young Bucks versus Hangman and Omega at Revolution 2020.
Yep.
It's fucking phenomenal. And then Ospreay Danielson is probably number 3 now at the absolute worst. And it could even be number 1.
Could,
I'd have to go back and
we'll see. It'll age.
all of them. And I completely agree with you. Myself, personally, as a wrestling fan, this might be my show of the year at the moment.
Yeah.
I thought it was almost top to
Oh,
bottom.
WrestleMania?
Phenomenal. Personally, yeah.
Oh man.
I mean,
yeah,
I
that's just
everyone delivered. Everyone
Pac
delivered on the
Okada to
show.
open with was incredible.
So fucking good to open with. So good to open
The
with.
6-man that followed it was okay.
Yeah.
And then who was, then it was the Willow match, which was good but a bit short.
Yeah, and I enjoyed because you went over, but I thought there should have been a little more there.
But allegedly, Julia Hart's also allegedly dealing with a legit injury, so that could have been what caused it to be short. Then they had the sleeper hit between O'Reilly and Roderick Strong.
Yes.
It was way better than I was expecting it to be.
Can I interject here real quick?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to forget Willow Nightingale celebrating winning the women's title at Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
Yes.
With Chris Statlander.
Very Willow.
Yeah.
That
Was Stoke was there too, wasn't he?
That's a power move right there.
Yes.
I just need to know, and maybe I'll share this with her. I need to know, is there still animatronics at Chuck E. Cheese? Because I love Chuck E. Cheese. We used to do wrestling moves in the ball pit, right? That's where my brother used to hit me with the suplex. I've taken multiple diamond cutters in there, rock bottoms. But I need to know if those animatronics still exist at Chuck E. Cheese, if you, A, told them to get off the stage because this was your moment, or B, tell them they need to just discontinue them in general because that's nightmare fuel.
Absolutely
The animatronics at Chuck E.
If they
Cheese
were there-
is nightmare fuel.
If they were there, I bet you they were looking at her like Shawn Michaels would have looked at her. Because those eyes are like...
Those eyes.
Oh, no. Yeah, there'd be one like,
the
yeah, look at that one.
creepiest fucking things. Those things are nightmare fuel.
100%.
Nightmare fuel.
Yeah. I'm all set.
Absolute nightmare
All
fuel.
set with that. But shout out to Willow.
Yeah,
that was
in general, shout out to Willow.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, she's
we
a G.
talked about Trick and his just trajectory. Willow was on the same fucking
Yeah, she's a
trajectory.
G. I
She's
love her
absolutely killing it. You
vibe.
can tell how much they trust her. Like, I watched her scrum after. Like, she's so easy to root for, so
Yeah.
happy-go-lucky, so just genuine. Shout out to Willow.
My one, I guess, for lack of a better word, negative about her winning is the fact that she's probably unfortunately going to be a transitional champion now. Because she's facing Mercedes at Double or Nothing, and there's no way Mercedes losing her debut match.
Her debut.
And you know,
which sucks because there's so much they can do with them, and maybe
Right.
it's Mercedes goes over, but there's so much of a build there that they can
Absolutely.
really really run with. It's gonna be tough because they're both baby faces. I obviously don't see Willow turning heel.
No.
I don't think they're gonna turn.
I think if anything,
Monet this
Mercedes
quick.
will lean heel more because she does it better.
and she should. She's a way
Absolutely.
better.
she kind
heel
of
than
did this
she's
week.
a way better
Yeah,
heel
yeah,
than a
yeah.
baby
She
face.
did this week, and I feel like she's way better as a
Way
heel than a
better as a
baby
heel.
face. And
Way
I feel like
better.
this week was her first. I'm not gonna lie, I was getting a little nervous about her in AEW. I feel like this
A
was
lot
her.
of folks have been.
Yeah, I feel
A lot
like
of folks
this
have been
week
worried.
she kind of redeemed herself all
Yeah.
the way. Like I'm like, all right, I'm back. I'm
This-
back on the Mercedes train here.
This was the most interesting she's been since her debut.
Yeah,
promo.
Yeah.
A lot of folks have been worried about that.
Yeah, same, because she hasn't
Yeah.
done
No.
much. She just
No.
showed up, cut weird promos, and that
Yeah.
was it.
Yeah, and people feel some type of way as well over with Dynamite not really giving Swerve any love.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it
which
was-
people found to be very strange.
I was expecting, especially for AEW, who does celebrations for
right.
anything.
Well, it's because of the Willow thing. People were saying, oh, because Willow kind of got her pop, do they not want to do just multiple championship celebrations? I saw some people making the case that, well, after the NBA game next week, it'll actually be better. There'll be more people watching. I don't know how
2
much I
a.m.?
buy
Like,
into
that's
that.
not-
That's not
Yeah, I
gonna
don't know how much I
happen.
buy into that. Maybe that's a
not-
West Coast bias, but I know
Yeah.
my ass will be
Yeah,
out
I will
cold.
not be
Same.
watching Collision.
And yeah, strange, very very strange. I think
thought
that
that was
they,
weird.
Swerve being your champion
Yeah.
of your company needs some love, man.
I wonder if it was the audio issues. So like TBS had some real bad audio issues, and I wonder if that caused them to pivot because they didn't want his.
Okay.
I don't know this. This is just speculation on my part. I don't know if they didn't want his big promo to be kind of
go that way?
fucked up with audio issues.
possible.
Hopefully that's the yeah.
But address it.
I would've
But
thought there
address
was
No, I
it.
agree.
more.
Say
Right.
something then. Be like, hey,
Yeah.
like we'd love to celebrate Swerve Strickland tonight, but we're having this and that. Like ignoring it actually makes them look worse.
I agree.
Yeah.
100% agree. I'm just saying that could be what caused it. It's not an excuse. They should have addressed it if that's what it is, but I'm just thinking that could be what it is.
Especially when you leave time for what actually happened at the end of the show last night.
And
Which
just quickly before we get
Yeah.
there, we do have a new number one contender for
Yes.
the international.
I don't love that.
Championship. I know, I hate it. I absolutely fucking hate it.
match
Because
was
Ospreay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the idea of the
it-
match. I thought it was cool the way
Yeah.
they did like the gauntlet,
Yeah.
casino battle royal. Like that was cool.
And I think
at
Os-
one point it turned into New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Oh,
It was-
100%.
Him and Switchblade and Ospreay in the ring made me pop. That
Yes.
was dope. And then Lance Archer coming. I think I tweeted it. I was like, we're in Japan.
Yeah.
Like we are in Japan now.
Yeah. And I think Ospreay and Strong will have a phenomenal match.
Yeah,
but
it'll be
like
great.
going from literally already match of the year, lock it in, with Danielson to now an international title match just feels like a massive step down.
And I think the only thing that helps is, to your point of earlier, of keeping the belt on Swerve a little bit. Maybe this is what they're thinking. We'll
Could be,
that international
give him
belt. We'll
something
kind of
to
buy
do.
some
Right.
time, put a strap on him, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, I thought he was ready. Just main event.
My other thing, if you're going to put a strap on him, do the content. Have him and Okada face each other. 'Cause that's a way
There's a lot more
match.
of a storyline
Right.
and stuff you can build into and go there. Yeah, that would have made more sense.
And that match feels bigger, with all due respect to Roderick Strong, whom I'm a big fan of.
100%.
Okada Ospreay feels bigger than Okada Strong does.
Yep.
I mean, Ospreay Strong does.
And you're also going to get more viewers and more
Right.
money from it just naturally.
Right.
Again, no knock to Roddy, but just is what it is.
And that leads us to last night's ending of AEW Dynamite. I'm not gonna lie to you. At that point, I had switched over to the basketball game, maybe whatever I was watching at that time, and I saw it pop up on my timeline, and I sent it to you guys, and I said, "What the fuck is this?"
So weird.
Yeah.
It was so random.
What
and
a
the way they
nerd.
set it up, like you have an IWGP World Heavyweight title, which has never happened on AEW television.
No.
Was a surprise between Moxley and Powerhouse Hobbs. Sadly, Hobbs seemed to have really gotten injured. He seemed to say, looks like he might have blew out his right knee. I hope to God he didn't. Prayers to Hobbs that he makes a speedy recovery. But that was so weird. They felt like they kind of rushed through that.
It
The
felt like
ending
that match was
aside, because
supposed
they
to go
had
like
to
5
rush
more
through the
minutes.
ending.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you rushed through that for this?
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
So,
Good.
I have a hot take with this.
All right.
Do we want to set it up first?
Yeah, okay, we can
Okay.
set it up. If we
I
want.
mean, the setup is basically Tony Khan is a nerd. Like he's just like
Yeah.
a very non-athletic nerd. So basically, anytime he's in the ring in general, it's like
anywhere
it's,
on camera.
Yeah,
The ramp, the ring.
He is such
So-
a
he's
nerdy,
just so
He needs a
weird-looking
fidget
guy.
spinner so bad
Yeah.
because he just can't.
He didn't know
keep
how to
himself together.
stand.
No,
He kept
it's just-
smiling.
Yeah,
It was-
nodding at all. Even the
Yeah.
bad stuff. He's like,
right.
He's just a weird dude.
He's
Like
awkward.
I don't
He's
even know
incredibly
how
awkward.
to explain it. I don't like when he's on camera. I wish I never had to see him again. Honestly, if I never saw Tony Khan again, I wouldn't be mad.
and that's the problem.
He's a
and
nerd.
again, it's like he is, and that's fine that you're that. No problem with that. You also
Just
are a
stay
billionaire, so
backstage.
none of that
Right.
shit matters. But yes, like please know your role. Like
Right.
literally know your role, and it's please. And I tweeted this last time. Like Tony's gotta have someone in his life who loves him enough to tell him, like, dude,
Yeah.
you should not be on.
Bro,
fucking
you
television.
don't belong
You should
on
not be
camera.
television.
He looks awkward. He is awkward. He's just a weird dude. Anyways, he takes a punch to the gut or a microphone to the gut.
It was a punch, but Perry was holding the mic in the perfect way. You heard the sound audibly.
Right. Yeah.
I saw it after. I was like, that was kind of slick. But yeah, even the way Tony sold
He took a back
that
bump.
was,
No,
like,
yeah, he took a
so
back
fucking
bump.
He took a back bump.
He has like like back in the day in No Mercy, like your stamina bar. Like he walks out to the
he's
ramp
in
and his
red.
shit's just
He's
like
in red.
the
He's in
lowest
danger.
blow you can have. He's in danger.
He's in danger to
When
start.
he walks out to the ramp, he's in danger. Then the Bucks come out. And they're all like, "What the fuck are you doing? This and
doing,
that."
Jack
And then he ends up getting hit with what do they call that?
Now it's the Tony
Yeah,
Khan driver. Now. It was the Meltzer driver. They renamed it to the Tony Khan, which that was kind of cool. That it was like you got hit with your own move, but even that was just so fucking weird.
Right.
Like I'm glad he didn't break his neck, and I'm glad he just held out for dear life. Tony,
Imagine
'cause
having a
it could've
billionaire
went-
between your legs.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me phrase that.
Yeah, we're not Vince McMahon. We're
yeah.
talking about another billionaire.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine having a billionaire in your arms ready to perform a fairly dangerous wrestling
Yes.
You
maneuver.
Very
literally have your
dangerous.
boss's life in your
If
hands.
that man's,
And that
if
guy's
you don't
so-
lock your legs and he slips through, oof,
Yeah.
He's
it's
such
over.
a nerd noodle that he could easily just slip through and there's like
100%.
nothing you could do about it.
Right.
But
Yeah, he doesn't have the neck of Kurt Angle. That wasn't going to end well.
Right. My hot take, though, that might be my favorite segment AEW's ever done.
oh god.
Not because it was good, because of how bad
It was so it just
so
reeked of desperation.
hilariously bad.
Even the breaking of
just
the fourth
reeked.
wall. Well,
Yeah.
not really fourth wall, but the Jack Perry looking at the camera and
Yeah.
smirking. Come on.
And you knew before, so you knew something was coming. I didn't think it was going to happen right away.
Right.
Nor did I think they were going to completely go full bore. I thought it was really going to be Bucks come on, Okada come on. Hey, Jack, what are you doing? Da, da, da. Jack walks back. They help Tony back, and then maybe the payoff comes next week or so. I didn't think that they were all going to, for lack of better terms, blow their whole load on
Yeah.
Dynamite.
I mean, his fucking dad came out at the
That
very end.
was what
Yeah.
fucked me up.
That was so good.
I
You
had
see
to
all the
leave.
wrestlers, and then I see fucking Shad Khan peek his head over. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? I don't think he's ever been in the ring of AEW
No,
television.
he's never been on TV.
Probably doesn't even know what his son does
No,
with his
doesn't.
money.
Yeah, doesn't
He was just
know.
in
He's like,
his
this
own-
is what you do with my money.
Yeah, it's like fucking in Blank
was just-
Check
Yeah.
when like they fucking or any Home Alone they come home and like, well, this is what you've
Right.
been doing
Right.
while we've been gone. Like,
And
what
Shad
the fuck?
was in his office getting ready for tonight's draft, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh fuck, I gotta
He's
do
like, I
Yeah.
gotta deal with this shit. I gotta figure out who the fuck I'm gonna get to protect Trevor Lawrence, and I got to deal with this shit.
Right? All right, so we're recording this pre-NFL draft. I hope so badly Tony Khan is on TV tonight. Bare minimum in the next.
he's gotta- yes, he
I already
has
seen.
to.
I already
He
seen a
absolutely
picture.
has to.
I already seen a
I
picture.
mean,
He fucking has to.
Preferably full body cast.
Make the draft
No,
pick.
But I really he needs to be in the next.
He's
I'm
in the
sorry.
neck brace.
Whatever Make-A-Wish Foundation kid, kudos to
Right.
you that was going to make this pick tonight. Sorry. You get shelved till Saturday, round 2. It's got to be Tony Khan
Also,
holding the podium.
all
He's in
these
a neck
wrestlers-
brace.
So
I gotta
want,
find
like,
it.
Stabilizers. I want the
Yes,
full
the
everything.
JBL
yes,
thing
I
when he
want it
went through
all.
the limo.
I want all of it.
one of my favorite parts of the whole segment. All these wrestlers come out to check on him. None of them came out when he was getting his ass kicked.
No, they
Where
always-
the fuck were
exactly.
all of
They
you
always
when he
did.
was getting the shit kicked out of him?
Yeah.
It's so
Bryce
I love
Rensburg,
it.
just like, wait, what is wrong with you?
Bryce fucking
What the fuck is wrong
Rensburg
with
is the
you?
one who stops
Yeah.
everything.
Oh
The
my
man
God.
with the Mickey Mouse voice stopped everybody. It was so like.
It was
Have you guys ever seen the movie The Room?
no.
Okay, it is quite possibly the worst movie of all
Is it
time.
a horror movie?
No, it's
Oh.
it's a
See, for a
serious.
second, I was thinking
in
of
quotes,
that
movie.
recent Dave Batista movie where they're in a cabin and
No,
like
yeah.
you're underneath and you can't make any noise.
Yeah.
That's a good
actually
movie.
a
That was a
really
good
good
movie.
movie.
That was a
Tony,
really good
Tony
movie.
Khan.
Yeah, I
See,
need
but
to
he
see
kind
that.
of no sold it a little. I need more than that, Tony.
Yeah,
You're
I
a little
need-
ass. You should
This
have like
dude.
full body cast. Like
That's
he
what
should
I'm
have had a
saying.
full fucking
Full
body
body
cast.
cast
This
at
guy-
tonight's
Because
draft.
Because if you're gonna do it at this, you've already jumped off the fucking cliff.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it, you have to now completely lean in.
Yeah.
like in every facet.
I also don't like that.
Oh
that
wait,
looks
this
like,
might be photo. I might have gotten duped. It might be photoshopped.
Okay. I was gonna say it didn't.
It looked a little small.
It also looked like it could have been covered up.
All right,
I
maybe
want to see it.
I got duped.
I need to.
Fair play.
Full see.
No,
bare-
whoever made that Photoshop is thinking the way
Looked
we are
pretty good.
because that's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like they posted the clip afterwards of it. Tony, people are in the replies like, "Oh, I love that Tony Khan liked this tweet." Like, come on, Tony. Like,
Yeah,
fucking,
that's-
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
The post Tony Khan stuff is not good, but the segment itself genuinely might be my favorite.
And that's
segment
the
of all
sad
time.
part where I
but
think
not for the reason I'm supposed
it's
to.
gonna
Love
go left because they are not gonna see it through, or at least I don't have any confidence they're gonna see it
it.
through
I mean,
the
there's,
right way.
there's a great chance Tony just doesn't show up anymore.
Yeah.
like this is writing him.
I
off
hope
of
so.
TV
He wrote
for-
himself off.
He wrote
Like,
himself
yeah.
off, yeah.
That would be a better.
But
yeah.
it was so good.
I
For-
think we're all
It
okay
was-
with that.
it was
I don't want to see that noodle on my TV ever again.
Oh, same.
But with that being said, you know, like you said earlier, Flanny, you mentioned maybe some of their camera shots, production, maybe inspired by WWE.
Yeah.
And now WWE today, we had a little twist. Today or yesterday? I didn't see.
think today.
Time,
It was this morning.
time
Yeah, I
doesn't
don't
exist for me right now.
Triple H
Morning,
one
yeah.
was this morning.
Yep.
If I sound exhausted, it's because I am. But Triple H replied or quote tweeted the London mayor.
Yep.
The London mayor talking about how he wants to bring a Super Bowl, Wrestlemania. He wants to put in a bid for the 2040 Olympics to come back to
He
London.
wants to bring a bunch of North American sports to London.
Yes, exactly. NBA.
He wants to
and-
make them the sports capital of the world. He said.
right.
And I will say real quickly, as I was reading that tweet, I saw his name is also Shad, and I saw Triple H quote cheating Shad.
His last name's also Khan.
Oh, is it?
And
No.
I think his name's
Or it's
Sadiq.
with a K.
I think
it's
it's
with,
with- yeah,
yes,
it's
it's very
K-H-A-N.
similar. So
I
at first
believe-
I thought Triple H was quote tweeting Shad
I
Khan.
thought that too.
And I almost threw my
I
phone
don't-
when you sent that.
I don't
was
think
like,
his
whoa.
first name's Shad. I think his first name's
Okay.
Sadiq.
Okay.
And I think
Sadiq.
his last name's Khan.
Sadiq
with a K.
Khan.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it looks. But I had the
Yeah.
same thought. I looked. I'm like, why is he
This is
quoting
long. What if this is
Shad
long?
Khan?
What if this is long-term booking on
Yeah.
behalf of the Khans?
Yeah,
and
there's
they
a-
want to get
there's-
WrestleMania to London and just completely fuck
A
everything
lot
up.
of
That's a
cons.
plug.
Yeah, oh yeah, that would be hilarious.
A lot of
Oh my
cons
God.
involved here because Nick Khan. Well, first of all,
Lot of cons, lot
the
of con
tweet
men.
from Sadiq Khan is London is already the sporting capital of the world. If I'm reelected next Thursday, we'll go even further. We'll look to bring WrestleMania, Super Bowl, and the NBA to London and put together another bid for 2040 Olympics. And Triple H quote tweeted it saying, "Let's talk." So obviously, with the mentioning of WrestleMania in there, people are speculating, oh, so are we going to get a WrestleMania in London? Even though Nick Khan said that the big pay-per-views, or PLEs rather, like WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and Royal Rumble will always stay in
and
North
Money in the Bank.
America.
He said the big five, which also includes
Yeah,
Money in the Bank.
And Money in the Bank will also stay in North America, United States and Canada. That seems to have changed very quickly. If they end up going through with this, listen, here's the thing. For us here in North America, is a WrestleMania in anywhere besides North America ideal? No.
Yes.
Will it work for WWE? Absolutely. It'll work. They could take it to Perth and it'll be 100,000 people in there if they want. It doesn't matter where they go. It's just a matter of who do they want this to be for, essentially, is what it comes down to.
And you could argue it's not even for that city, really, because 90% of a WrestleMania audience travels.
Oh, yeah.
They're
Exactly.
not from that area. They mostly travel there.
Yeah,
I would love a London
It
Mania.
would
A
be,
1
yeah.
p.m. Mania?
That would be
Fuck
dope.
yeah.
That'd be
That
lit.
would
Yeah,
be
Sign me the
so
fuck up.
That's the best
fucking
part for
dope.
us as a viewing audience. But
Mania over by like 7 o'clock?
Yeah,
yeah.
Hell yeah.
yeah, so we may be getting a Mania in London. But what we know is happening on SmackDown Friday night is the beginning of the WWE Draft. It is draft season, baby. And I usually don't really care about the WWE Draft, to be quite honest. I don't really. It doesn't really get me going as much as we come here to one camera now. Technical issues. If anybody is interested in shooting video and editing video for free, literally for free, please hit me up. I would be more than happy to have you do all this. But the WWE Draft is going to be interesting because of, how top heavy we feel like maybe SmackDown is, right? Because it's technically the marquee show still, and how much they're going to be willing to switch up with Netflix being the home of Raw starting in January.
Which makes me wonder if the draft is going to be like an annual post-Mania thing. They might wait even until next year to start putting next year's draft, to start putting the big stars on Raw. Raw might not get big stars till like post-Mania next year.
It's possible. I mean, it depends on what they have going on, I guess, storyline wise.
Yeah,
Right.
so that'll be a good 4.
But you got to
4.5
imagine
months.
Cody Rhodes has to be on Raw when Netflix gets the deal. No,
Dang.
I mean, he can. Well, it also like post Rumble time, they have like the draft didn't mean shit anymore at that point. Think how many times Cody showed up on SmackDown this
True.
year,
Yeah,
or
that's
Roman
valid.
and Rock showed up
That's
on
true.
Raw.
well, he
like-
won the Rumble and he called out Roman Reigns.
right. Or all right, but how many times Seth Rollins showed up on SmackDown then?
He
as
shoehorned his way
Raw,
into the
so,
main
like-
event, but yeah,
Like they
They're
can
gonna-
finagle
yeah,
it,
they're
and then
gonna
post
do what
Mania
they
he'll
need to
officially
do.
be moved to Raw. Type
Yeah.
of thing.
They're gonna make it work how they need to make it work.
Right.
yeah.
But I think there could be some big stars that are eventually going to make their way to Raw that might wait. Just as an example, I don't even know if they're going to eventually go to Raw, but as an example, like the Bloodline, that could be something that they wait till post-Mania to then move them to
Right.
Raw.
Which would make a little bit more sense.
Right.
So the rules of the draft, SmackDown is going to have 4 rounds, 16 total picks. Okay. So how does that work? If it's SmackDown and Raw, 4 times 4, so they have 4 picks each round?
Yes. No,
Okay.
No, it's
Wait. 6. I thought.
No, 2 picks each round.
Probably, yeah.
You guys learned recently we're not good at math.
Yeah,
This
math.
is-
yeah.
Yeah,
It's not
this
what we
Steiner
do.
math. This is our Steiner math
Yeah,
segment.
this
Here it
This
is.
is not what we do.
We said it was coming.
Let me see. I don't know, it'll be 6 rounds.
4 rounds, 16 total
Yeah.
picks.
Yeah, so 4.
So 4 each round.
2 each.
Two each.
Total, 2 each. Yep.
2 each.
No,
God.
2 per.
This is so bad.
4 total people, 2
Yeah, 2
per
show.
brand.
2 per brand. Yep.
4 total people, 2 per brand. So
Yeah.
why wouldn't they just say it's 8 rounds?
Because technically they're both 2 people are first round picks. So the way they do rounds is like they stand there and make a draft. So it'll be like SmackDown picks so-and-so, and then Raw will go Raw picks so-and-so, and then they'll go right back to SmackDown picks so-and-so.
And that's technically
then
one
Raw picks
round?
and that's considered one round.
Yeah, that's
they kinda
stupid.
go back.
I mean, it is, but
It's very confusing.
It's
That's
probably
It's
it's the
Steiner
way
math.
Steiner math.
it's a way so they can still get 45,000 commercials.
Yeah.
I guess that's a
exactly.
good point.
Yep.
On Raw, there will be 6 rounds, 24 total picks. Don't even ask me to do that fucking math. I'm not. It's the same.
Same.
I know.
It's the
I
same.
know.
It's the same.
I know. I'm
just
not.
2 more rounds.
I just don't want to talk about it.
That's okay.
The champions on each brand are protected. The women's tag team champions are eligible for both, which we know because there's only one set of tag team champions. SmackDown will pick first tomorrow on Friday, or whenever you watch this, Friday night, and Raw will pick first Monday.
Right.
Rosters lock Monday, May 6th. That's a caveat thrown in there that I'm very interested about.
That's the Monday post.
The following
Backlash.
Monday.
Right.
So like if titles change hands or like something like
Giving
that, maybe
themselves
they have to
kind of
go
a
back
work.
to a show or something like rosters will.
Or what if there's a person that wasn't in the draft that goes undrafted and then
Yep.
makes a surprise appearance and all of a sudden has to pick a show by Monday, May 6th and shows up maybe at Backlash?
That's
I
possible.
feel like that's happened before.
What if
too.
like fucking Bad Bunny decides he's like, screw this music shit. I'm going full time, baby. I'm going to pull up in France, in Francois.
I'm on board.
What if Mbappe is like, soccer ain't for me anymore, all right?
I would love that.
Yeah,
That means he
I mean,
can
he's
go
only
to
what,
Madrid
about to
next
get,
year.
Yeah, true.
Sign
Oh,
me
yeah,
up.
Barca fans.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
I mean, he's only what, about to get like $4 billion
Yeah.
a year.
He's
So
gonna
I'm sure he's
be-
gonna turn that down.
He's going to have
literally-
every dollar on planet Earth
It's gonna
next
be
year.
insane.
I think we all actually owe him money. All 3 of us.
I do owe him money. I owe him $350.
Tree
So $350. Yeah, draft. I mean, it would be cool. It would be interesting. It would be shake-up would be cool. You know, I'm not like overly excited about it. I'm more into the NFL draft that's happening tonight.
Oh, absolutely.
But do you have any bold predictions? Like, do you have anything that you feel like is going to be like a big move, a big change, a big feud set up based on being on the same roster? Is there like former feud that's going to get rekindled because now they're on the same roster?
So I don't know about feuds, but I think my personal biggest change is I think LA Knight's on Raw now.
Okay.
Because he lost. He needs a change.
Yep.
Like, he's done everything he could on SmackDown. He's not going to be the guy who beats Cody. Put him on the show where the World Heavyweight title is. It's something he could maybe win soon.
Right.
So I think he's definitely getting... He's my, like... I'm not saying he's going to be the number one pick, but he's like my top... This guy's definitely getting moved pick.
Okay. I think that's fair. I like that because you got to have some of the star power changing hands. You can't just be like...
You can't just all be on...
Changing mid-carders, you know. I'm looking at the Friday night available draft pool. Chad Gable, I mean, he split up. It looks like that split is imminent.
That was a
yeah,
but
I think he's staying on whatever brand the Intercontinental title's on because that's what his whole storyline's about right now.
Right,
him
right.
being IC champ.
But you could see Alpha Academy going. They're probably going to split to make that easier.
Yeah, and I think all four of them need to go their own separate ways. I don't know that necessarily Tozawa and Jesus, I'm forgetting his name. Maxine Dupree and Otis. What are they going to do? Just the three of them,
right?
Like, I think they got.
Honestly, I can see all three of them going back to NXT.
Yeah,
that's a possibility. Maxine Dupree, you know,
she could use it. She could use the
she
work
got the
and
rub
time
from Becky the other day, though. I think that was really cool.
She's been putting the work in, but I think that would benefit her. I think that'd be good for her.
Yeah, it would definitely be good for her, and I'm very curious to see what they end up doing with that. And yeah, other big names available tomorrow. AJ Styles, who we know is not going anywhere because he's fighting Cody, unless
he gets drafted.
Unless it's the Flanabam stipulations that my brain can't process at this current moment.
And I think, as you mentioned, AJ, I think the Good Brothers and Michin, even though he's been distancing himself from them, I think they end up on the same show with him. I think they rekindle that group a little bit, especially as he starts to feud with Cody.
Right, because now he's going to be a main event stable. He's going to need some muscle, some heel bullshit, you know.
Michin's the only one that I could see maybe just getting completely separated from them.
It would be best for her. It would be so good for her. I think she can work and go, and she's just been completely lost in the shuffle so many times over. She's deserving of that.
I could see AJ and the Good Brothers staying on SmackDown and Michin going to Raw and getting a complete fresh start. Another one that I think is there's a good chance gets moved. I think Orton goes to Raw.
Yeah,
just because what else does he have to do on SmackDown?
That's a good point.
That's true. It'd be a nice
Seth Rollins available to be drafted tomorrow. We don't know how long he's out, but we anticipated being a long time. That's interesting.
One.
Yeah, especially since Jimmy's not.
Right.
Like I read Jimmy's now not part of the draft.
He's not a part of any of this
because of his injuries, from what I read.
Another one too that I think is interesting is Braun Breaker. He just signed to SmackDown a month ago.
Yeah.
Do they throw a wrench in it and somehow say, "Oh, you're going over to Raw"?
That'd be weird because they made it a big deal.
But
they made it a big deal when he got signed. Like they made it a big like free agency, like courting him from both sides type of thing. So I think it'd be weird to see him switch sides. But again,
it's also a good way to show hey, anything can happen in the draft.
Yeah,
I know you put all this work in on the guy, but tough shit.
Speaking of, this is my hot take. On the Friday's available draft pool, we see Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
We see the Wise Man. We see Tama Tonga. We see Solo Sikoa.
Yeah.
I think there's a possibility where they all get drafted together,
right?
And that's where we see the dissension in the ranks, where they all going to go to one place, and then either I don't think it'll happen in real time. I think it'll happen on that show where down the line where Solo comes out and says, "No, we're not going where you're going. We're doing our own thing." And I think that's where we start to see that actual split. I think the draft is going to put those tea leaves, whether it happens right away or that's the build. I think this is where they really put that fork in the road and start to see that bloodline split.
Or I could also see. I can see Jay going back to SmackDown to really ramp up the bloodline stuff.
Yep.
Like I could totally see that happening. And then Jimmy, when he's healthy, signs with
SmackDown. But you think Jay, right? With currently his feud with Damian, like he has a title shot coming up. So it's like
roster's locked May 6th.
Yeah.
After Backlash.
So he goes, has his match at Backlash. He's not going to beat
He's not going to win. Right. I don't think so.
But then that automatically, we know that AJ's not going to win anyways. But so that's fair.
Kind of keeps things.
Andrade, I think, is an interesting name to look for tomorrow because he is.
I don't remember what brand he's actually on, to be honest with you.
I don't either.
Raw,
Where's the
Judgment Day at? Judgment Day's on Raw?
Raw.
Yeah, he's Raw.
He's also showed up on SmackDown a bunch of times,
so
I
think he's Raw.
I don't remember which one he is.
I'm pretty sure he's on Raw, but I think he's somebody that's set up to be he'll be, higher end of the mid-card going forward.
Here's a bold statement about Andrade. Maybe he's the one that beats Logan Paul.
That's possible.
Give him the U.S. title again.
Do you think so?
Possibly.
Whoever
I'm
beats
not-
Logan Paul. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, you gotta be either an established big star or be ready to get a push like crazy,
Or like somebody like him who's
Or-
right in the middle.
And I think he
Or
could
you
be the
gotta be
guy who
Charlotte
can get
Flair's
that
husband.
push like crazy. Yeah,
yeah,
that helps, that
I mean,
helps.
we don't want to lean
But no,
into
I mean,
the.
and we know Andrade can go. We
I'm
know
also
that.
totally
Like,
kidding about the.
yeah,
Char-
yeah.
I don't-
We
they're
know
not gonna push
Andrade.
him
But I
for
think
that.
it's going to
He's
be
amazing,
somebody
yeah.
that, like you said, Andrade is a very. He would be a good person to take the title off of Logan Paul because he is not like your veteran like Randy Orton or Kevin Owens, right? That's been around a long time that doesn't really need it. And he's also not somebody who is up and coming that like, you know, how much can they actually elevate that? Andrade is a legitimate, like he's done it here. He went away and did it and now he's back and he's a legitimate force again. So yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I can see that happening.
And I think they've never, in any iteration of Andrade, whether it's in WWE, AEW, never done him justice to what we know he can do and what we've seen in small pockets and segments.
The closest was NXT.
Yes.
Where they at least made him world champion for a while.
He's great.
He's
yeah,
deserving of so much more.
I'm a fan of
100%.
his. I like him a lot.
He looks the part.
He
Yeah,
gave Ric Flair a suplex. And,
That's right.
Yeah, he did.
Was it into a pool or something?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Hopefully
lit.
they pulled that. He shouldn't be taking bumps anywhere else. Not even
Ric
the
Flair's
pool.
last
Jesus Christ.
match. Stay tuned. You never know.
It's gonna be Dominic Mysterio's
Yeah,
kid.
Bianca Belair is here, available to be drafted tomorrow. That'll be interesting. Are they going to break up Bianca, Naomi, and Jade?
Yeah.
Is that going to
I
happen?
don't think so.
Because they
I'll say
seem
they
to be
will.
really leaning into it.
That damage control rivalry
Right.
still has like a lot of still has some legs to it.
But I don't think it's going to happen for long. I don't think they want to break them up yet because I think they see
Right.
a lot of opportunity and honestly a lot of money with
Yeah.
the three of them together
Yeah.
right now. But I think sooner rather than later the split's going to come. And it doesn't have to be like a bad split, but just
No.
like we're going to go our way and do our things. I think it's going to happen. Obviously, as
I-
Jade elevates and gets more and more comfortable.
I think it's going to be a lot closer to SummerSlam because I think Bianca
Yeah,
Jade is
that
the
makes sense.
SummerSlam match
That makes
they want
sense.
to do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
a name I'm very interested to see where he goes tomorrow is Ricochet.
Yeah,
Yes,
Ricochet,
yeah.
yeah.
The way he's been pushed
The way he's
lately,
been pushed.
like
He's
are they
been
going to
pushed.
keep him on Raw? Or are they going to put him on SmackDown and maybe push him into the
He's
Logan
another
Paul
one
rematch?
that could be Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
He
could
would be
see
a
him. I
perfect
could see him
candidate.
taking down Logan Paul.
He'd be a perfect candidate.
or
And I
even,
think that'd
or
be a
even
good stepping
Sammy.
stone.
I could see him taking. I could see him winning the IC title at some point this year.
That was
Yeah.
exactly what I'm thinking.
I think
It could be a
from
stepping
Chad,
stone.
not Sammy, but yeah, he could
Yes.
be.
Right,
he could be
right,
the guy
right.
that takes it off.
Yeah,
of-
get the U.S. title, beat Logan, and then build towards Intercontinental, which we know he was the Intercontinental champ. Was he the last Intercontinental champ before Gunther?
Yeah,
or
he's the one
yeah,
Gunther
beat.
he was the last one. So that's a hell of a story you can put together.
Yeah.
There's so many cool things you can. He's been busting his
But
ass.
in those 2+ years, I feel like he's on another level
oh yes,
now.
it's,
yeah.
100%.
He's gotten better on the
100%.
microphone. His matches have been just phenomenal, even though we've
You
always
can see
known
the confidence, just oozing out. It's just
confidence big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, we'll recap what happens in the draft Friday night and Monday night for that matter, because by the time we talk to you again next week, we'll have all the results leading into Backlash in Francois. Pretty excited for that. What time
Yeah,
is that
it's
going to
gonna be
start? 2 p.m., 1 p.m.?
Probably.
Yeah,
A
'cause
nice
they're what?
midday.
It's like a 5 or
5-hour
6,
difference?
5 or
midday
6,
on a
yeah.
Saturday.
Hell
Fuck
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Let's
the best.
go.
Because then even if I
It's
can't
so
watch
good.
it midnight, I'll just watch it Saturday night.
Hell yeah.
It would be fucking great.
Yeah, that's
this
incredible.
is why I'm on board with more European
Yeah,
shows.
yeah, same. I love that they're on this run now.
Yeah.
They were in the O2 Arena recently, and they packed that place
Yeah.
out, and the
Yep.
pictures looked amazing. The business is as hot as it's ever been.
Oh, yeah.
We know that, right? We're seeing that from all the shows. It's been exceptional. Even Dynasty had a great crowd,
Yeah.
sellout crowd. They've been doing well. Even them being back in Daly's place this week, it looked good. The setup I thought was pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Little backdrop
So
there.
yeah, I mean the business is as hot as it's ever been, folks.
It is a good time to be a fan of professional wrestling. That's for damn sure.
Absolutely.
You're going to see a bunch of cuts in this episode because the cameras just did not want
There's
to.
gonna be a lot of blood.
We're,
Yeah.
trying, we're trying our Spielberg out.
Yeah,
trying our
exactly.
Spielberg
We're
out.
trying our Triple H out. We're trying
Yeah.
to get these new camera
Yeah.
shots in.
Well, actually, this may be more Kevin Dunn than on that.
Yeah.
Yes, the
Oh,
amount of
God,
shaky
yes.
cam and like crazy fuck. Yeah, it's probably a good chance of that.
Go
but,
one, go two, go three.
Right, yeah.
Or maybe you just have this on in the background and you're listening to
Right.
the YouTube. So
Either
that's
way.
always a possibility. But regardless, we're
We
trying.
appreciate you the same.
Maybe you're tracking the draft with who we said, and you're like, "Oh, they said this person. Let's see if he's
Yup.
going now."
Right.
You know, maybe you're sitting home. It's Friday night 2 of the actual NFL draft, and you
Right.
want to listen.
Right.
Like, however you consume, we love it and we appreciate it.
100%.
And continue to do so. Share it with your friends. We're gonna have some people on here. Eventually, we'll invite some friends on here too. I know some people. It's starting to catch buzz because people keep hitting me up like, "Hey man, I want to be on the pod. I want to be on the pod." I'm like, "All right, chill out, slow down."
Yeah.
But we'll get you on here
Slow
eventually.
build, folks.
Fuck
Slow
all
build.
of you.
Yes,
I'm
yeah,
kidding.
exactly.
I'm kidding.
But Flanabam said, "Nah,
You got to get to the final boss.
damn
Before you
heel.
get on the show.
heel Flan. Yeah, final boss over there.
Come on now.
I figured I started that way. I should end that way.
Valid. That's
So-
a valid
Fitting.
point. That's a valid
Very
point.
fitting.
Go full circle with it.
Like, subscribe, share. Continue to hit us up. Continue to send in your replies, your questions, and all that stuff. We appreciate all of
Because
them.
this is
man.
where we fake cut, and then this is where you cut that promo and you beat the hell out of him.
Yeah.
When you think the camera's off, but it's not really off.
This is where we do the room like AEW did.
Yeah, exactly. That's why he looked directly into camera with a smile. But
Also, watch the room if you've never seen it. Fucking hilariously bad.
I feel like that. I thought that was a horror movie.
No, it's like a serious.
Oh, it was a
drama
serious
thing.
movie.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Serious in as many air quotes as possible.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll keep an eye out for the room.
Check it out.
Check
Well,
you
I
guys
was-
out next week. Peace.